All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Microphones are here. Tandberg. Is anyone dialed in on the Tandberg? Well, hello. Hello. Why is he coming over there? Just a second. Okay, hello? Hi, okay, great. Yeah. If you just want to stay on this call, you'll be able to listen and everything. So would you mind just muting your mic, though, so that we can... and if you have a question, then go ahead and jump in. Are you in the join.me as well, conference? Okay. All right, everybody, we're going to get started now. The lab is on the website, so hopefully you have it and you've looked at it at least a little bit. Today we're going to be talking about surface modeling. And this lab's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go through and make these three parts. We're going to make the first one, which looks like this one, this surface, and then we're going to make this one, and then we'll make the hood. And so the point of this lab is doing some surface modeling, but also making these surfaces parametric. So a critical point to this is that if you make your sketches parametric and then you make surfaces based off of those sketches, then the surfaces will also be parametric. Okay? So for the first one, it's a real simple example. Basically, the way to do it, and I'm in surfaces 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is first I'm just going to make some datum planes. I'm going to make an XZ and also a YZ. And then I'm going to make some expressions. So if I go to Tools, Expressions, minimize this. Tools, Expressions. I'm just going to make one called Width, and we'll make it 50, and another one called Length. Make that 50. Okay, so now if I make two more datum planes, I'm going to make one that is at distance. And so I'll make it at distance from this guy, and this going on the Y, so I'll call that. So the distance I want it, I'm going to constrain that to the length. Okay? And so now it'll make one at 50. So I'll hit OK. Let me let this guy join. Okay, I'm assuming he wants to be called as well. Remember how to do this. Here we go. Add phone number. No, not that. Add people. Here we are. Oh, you can just right click and say. Here we are. Okay. So now this plane is set at a distance of 50. So if I make another plane, and this one I'm going to say at distance of this, right? And I'll constrain this one to be along the width. Okay, so now if you see I have, if I go back to my expressions, I can change these expressions, and the datum planes will move with that, right? 75. Okay, so basically I have 4 datum planes that are defining the outer edges of this box. So what I'm going to do is just make a simple spline right here. So if I make a sketch on this plane, okay, and then I make just a simple spline. This doesn't have to be real complex at all. I'm just going to make one like that. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to use geometric constraints to constrain the end point of this on this datum plane, as well as the end point of this one on this datum plane. Okay, so if you look at that, now if we finish the sketch, if we go back to the expressions, and that's the length one, so if we change this to something else, the spline will move with it, right? So Then we'll make another spline, make another sketch on this one, on this datum plane. And we should do something like that. And then this one we want to constrain, once we finish the sketch. Oh no, we don't want this sketch. We want to do it here. So geometric constraints again. And we want to constrain the endpoint of this to on this datum plane, right? And then we also want to make the endpoint of this to the constrained with the endpoint of that. So now they are touching. And it's going to throw this error, but I found that don't worry about that error because it still works. So, and X6 didn't do that. All right, and then on this point, we want to make sure we constrain this guy to the end onto this datum plane, right? And that'll finish that sketch. So I'm going to make 2 more sketches. So I'll make one on this one. It doesn't matter which way this is, but whatever. Okay, so make another one like that. And okay. And actually, before I constrain this, I'm going to make one more on this surface right here. So one more, this surface. Okay. Okay. And now here's something interesting. So I cannot, if I, who's trying to call me? Okay. Do you know, is anyone, is Bruno? I just tried calling him. Has he picked up? Because I can't accept his phone call. I have to call him to put him in the group call. If I accept his call, it'll be 2 separate calls. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna call him again. Would you say Bruno or Eduardo? Well, yeah, but Eduardo was the one that called me earlier. Oops. Okay, here's my call. Okay. So here's something interesting that has to do with hierarchy. So if I constrain this guy to this surface, right, point on curve, and to this, actually I can constrain it to this point right here. If I finish this sketch, I cannot, so if I go into this one, right, and I haven't yet got this guy on the, so I need to go from here, I can go straight to this point since I already know it's on there. And then, but this side, watch, if I try to, I can constrain this to this surface, or this datum plane, right? But I cannot from this, in this guy's point of view, I can't constrain him to this sketch. It won't even come up because according to the hierarchy, this guy hasn't even been created yet. So if you get that error, don't worry about it. You have to constrain this guy to the previous one, not a previous to the future sketch. Does that make sense? That's a small little thing that you might come across. So we need to constrain this guy to that one, like that. So now we have all 4 of those, and we should, if we go back into our expressions, we should be able to change these, and the sketch should, all these sketches should move. Say what? On Skype? Oh, okay. Does anyone on Tandberg have questions up to this point? Okay, I'll assume no. Okay, so it looks like I missed a connection there. So we'll go back into here and make sure that that is attached to that point. Okay, so that worked. So I think that looks like it's connected, and we'll check the other one as well. So if we change width, hopefully everything will stay attached. Okay, so everything stays attached. Now we use, we're going to make a surface here. So the one we want is insert mesh surface, through curves mesh. So I'll just show you this. So a through curve